All right, so let's move to the other side of the screen. Let's take a detailed look at the indicator in first person and see exactly how it would look, okay? First of all, once we successfully install the indicator, I'll have a comprehensive series of settings here where I have various systems and distinct trading modes, okay? Right now, we currently have 3 trading modes that are quite completely independent. All 3 are very profitable and have totally different entry criteria, exit criteria, and lot size criteria. So they complement each other well. One of them is a trading system with a consistently high win rate and a relatively low risk-reward ratio, especially if you find it psychologically difficult to handle several stop losses and you truly want to have a very high win rate indeed. The standard one, which is a 1-to-1 risk-reward ratio, and the low win rate with a high risk-reward ratio system. Now we're going to go into more comprehensive detail, but here you will simply enter your account balance, the precise risk you are willing to take per trade, and from that point the system will diligently do all the thinking for you and will automatically generate, as you can clearly see here, valuable alerts and specific signal labels showing you the exact currency pair you should consider trading, the precise direction, the appropriate lot size, exactly where to set your stop loss, where to set your take profit, and it will also automatically calculate the final result and meticulously add it to the comprehensive statistics table. So it does everything for you. So if you're someone who works in an office, has a physical job, is out of the house all day and simply can't trade, or for whatever reason truly wants to have more time with your kids, your partner, going to the gym, or whatever it may be, right? Well, it makes things much easier because it does all the thinking for you. These are systems that have been proven with statistics to be profitable with hundreds of trades that are independent from each other, that can be combined. And like I said, your only job here is to install it, set up a little alert, and that alert can come to your phone, your computer. You can get a push notification, you can get an email, and then you just have to execute what it tells you. It tells you the lot size, the direction, where to set the stop, where to set the TP, and you have 5 minutes to execute that trade, okay? So also, if you have a personal account with your own capital, there's also the possibility, which we've seen here in the settings, of using Pine Connector. But you do need to have a Pine Connector subscription, that's important. I think the cheapest one is about 29 euros a month, if I remember correctly, and you just enter your ID here, install it, and your trades are executed automatically. This is important. It's only for accounts with your own capital, okay? So to go into more detail, this system, for example, the first thing that stands out is its very high win rate, okay? I have here a history of 292 trades, which means it has quite a high statistical significance, not just because I say so, okay? If you want, ask ChatGPT, Claude, Grok, or whatever AI you use and say, hey, how profitable or reliable is a trading system that over 292 trades has a win rate of 90.4%, a risk-reward ratio of 0.2, and a profit factor of 1.89, okay? This is important. It's the one with a high win rate and, as I mentioned, a low risk-reward ratio, because what it's aiming for is to grab small bites from the market, okay? So for example, if you risk 1% on a 100,000 account, which means you'd risk 1,000, you'd be going for a take profit of 200, okay? So it gets a lot of trades, right? It has a super high win rate. All the different models, all the different systems have their main statistics, okay? They have their streak analysis, where you can see, for example, the maximum number of consecutive take profits, the maximum number of consecutive stop losses, and what the distribution of streaks looks like. So for example, here there have been 4 times where there were between 3 and 5 consecutive take profit. 14 times there have been more than 6 consecutive TPs out of the 292. So this gives you a lot of information about the system and provides that psychological reassurance or mental security of, hey, I'm trading something that's profitable and that's been proven not with 10, 20, 50, 60 trades, but literally hundreds of trades, right? So don't just take my word for it. Again, what I like here is to be as realistic as possible. Like all systems, it has periods of drawdown, times when it performs a bit better, and times when it performs a bit worse. I'm not going to say that this is all take profit and all magic, but I leave you the statistics so that from an impartial point of view, you can evaluate them yourself. Or as I mentioned, you can even give these statistics to ChatGPT and let it judge and tell you what it thinks, right? So here you also have the temporal analysis, especially if a bit further up you saw the analysis by pair, how many trades and what win rate each pair has, how much has been earned in R for each pair, what the streak is. And in the temporal analysis, above all, if you're someone from Mexico, Spain, Argentina, or anywhere else in the world, since you trade in different time zones, you'll want to know how profitable the system is for your time zone. So here you can also see at all times what the profitability is depending on the skill zones, and this is based on the ICT skill zones. You can look up on Google what the ICT skill zone hours are, and you can find out based on your own time zone. And in this way, you can be sure that it's a profitable system as well for the time slot you want to trade in, okay? So, like I said, it thinks of everything for you, it does everything for you. You can also, in the settings, let's see, for example, this model, the standard one, which uses a 1-to-1 risk-reward ratio. This one looks for it aims to risk 1 and win 1, or risk 1,000 and win 1,000, depending on what you assign as a unit of risk. And so this one would have around 65% of trades. You'll see here that it has 158 trades. This is really actually limited by the bars. Based on the TradingView subscription you have, it allows you a maximum number of bars, which means there's a limit to the number of trades the indicator can record, okay? So within that trade limit recorded by the indicator, in this case there are 158. Again, this already has some statistical significance. It's not 20 or 30 trades and 65% ETPs. Since I like to be honest, and as I always say, having this win rate doesn't mean that every month you're going to hit exactly 65. It could mean that maybe one month you have 70 or 75, and another month you might have 50 or 55. So it's variable, but the more samples you have, the larger the sample size, the more statistical relevance it has, okay? So as you can see here, all the systems, this is what you would earn in these 158 trades. You would make 50 R. If 1 R is a unit of risk and you risk 1%, you would earn 50% over 158 trades. These are over several months, okay? For example, both the standard one and the one with a relatively low win rate and a high risk-reward ratio, these two distinct strategies generally generate approximately 30 signals per month, more or less, okay? 30-40 signals per month, between 30 and 40 approximately. Some months 45, some 20-something, okay? Just so you keep that in mind. And the high win rate, low risk-reward one might generate around 60 signals. It gives out a bit more, okay? Lastly, this particular one, characterized by a low win rate and a high risk-reward ratio, would be specifically for those individuals who are actively looking to take on trades with a higher degree of risk, so to speak, meaning the same inherent risk but aiming for significantly higher ratios, and it ultimately has a win rate of precisely 38%. It's true that I later manually collected data from the system, and I wanted to take it up to about 300, almost 300, 290 something trades, just like I did with the other one. And it's true that the win rate is around 35%. I mean, here it shows 38.1, but just keep in mind, it was about 34.90. 34.80 if I remember correctly. So just go with it being 34 or 35%. I like to be honest about this because, well, it depends on the month. And if the sample from the last month is a little better or a little worse, it can vary slightly. Just remember that it's at 3R, 35%, which means it's still very profitable. In fact, in terms of total profitability, this is the one that yields the highest returns. Even though there are slightly more stop losses, since you earn more per trade, you end up making more overall in the long run. It's indeed true that you can trade one system, two, or even all three, whatever you personally want, okay? For this, you simply, well, let me use this one as an example, this other one. I imagine you put here the high win rate one, whichever you want, and you would simply create an alert here in TradingView, okay? And you can create it. Well, in this case, we would be creating it for the high win rate, low risk reward one, and it would show up here and be saved for you. If you want to trade, say, the high win rate and the standard one, then you go to the standard and also you click create the alert and you would trade those two. You want all three? You trade all three, all right? It is certainly true, though, that one of them is primarily designed so that based on your personal psychology, you can effectively manage it. A strategy. This is one of the big problems I see in trading in general with most people. Many mentors teach systems that have very high ratios, or what I consider very high, which means you have streaks of many stop losses, and psychologically it's very hard to handle. I mean, a system with a win rate of 35% is going to have streaks of 7 stop losses or so, right? That's what statistics are for. But it could very well be the most profitable system, right? So the good thing here is that depending on your psychology, your personal situation, and how you want to trade, you can choose to trade just one, you can choose to trade two, or you can choose to trade all three, right? However you prefer. And what does this mean in practice? Because another super important part, in my opinion, is transparency in the numbers and the predictability of a system, right? This table, this tool, which is an equity curve simulator, I'm also giving it to you with the subscription, okay? And it's Very important, because this way you'll also be able to make calculations about how the system will perform or what you can expect from it, right? For example, with the standard strategy on a 100,000 account and an approximate win rate of 65%, well, here we can be conservative and set it at 63, for example. And for the risk reward, instead of 1, we put 0.9, because there are commissions, there are spreads. These are things that need to be accounted for. In a simulation of 500 trades risking 1% of the account, well, here every time I change one of these little parameters, it will recalculate a simulation of 500 trades for me here, okay? It simulates completely randomly how it would go. So for example, here on trade 26, I would already have an 8.42%. So if I say that trade 26 takes me a month, then I can also roughly calculate how long it might take to pass a funding phase. Maybe I want to trade with a little more risk, because here on the table to the right, it's going to show you some really interesting data. How much would the capital gain be in those trades? What is the maximum drawdown? That is, in 500 trades, the most you end up losing is 6.90, okay? So you can also estimate, for example, hey, what a specific level of risk should I actually set for my funding account to make sure I never lose it? Well, look, here you reach 6.90. If your maximum drawdown is at 8, then there you more or less have the calculation. How many trades are won? How many are lost? What is the win rate? So in the end, this is gathering the data from these 500 trades, so it may vary slightly, okay? So with each simulation, every change I make in this table runs a new simulation, and it's going to change it for you. And here, it's also extremely important to see what kind of streak you can have, both for TPs and stop losses, right? For example, here I might have 5 stop losses in a row, but that's just in this simulation. In another one, maybe I get 7, okay? But on the other hand, I also have streaks of 13 TPs, and look at the profitability that brings to my account, right? Transparency in this is super important. I see a lot of people on social media saying that with a risk reward of 2, okay, they have a win rate of 55%. So of course, what I say there is, okay, as for what your sample size is, right? The statistical reality, or how statistically relevant it is, that's what matters. But there are a ton, really. I've even heard people say that with a risk reward of 3, they have a 45% win rate. Well, what I would have to say there is, hey, if you have a win rate of 55% at 2R, right? On a 100,000 account, after 500 trades, which might be, I don't know, a year and a bit or 2 years, you would have 4 million in the account. Where are the 4 million? You don't have them, do you? So this is also so that we're realistic and have realistic expectations about what the statistics in trading are, right? In the end, the job of a trader is, as I like to say, to become a casino on steroids. Why does a casino make money? The house always wins. Well, because they use or have games that have a positive expected value for them, and that's simply the trader's job, to find an edge, to find a system with a positive expected value, and then, by the law of large numbers, that is, the more numbers you have, the more relevant or likely it is to happen, let the statistics work in your favor. So once you've found that system, which is the hard part, and that's what the indicator gives you, your job as a trader is simply to press the button and execute it. Very easy to say, very hard to do, but also just to quantify the lies directly, because there are a lot of lies on social media, especially when it comes to win rate. I mean, if I have a win rate of 45 with a ratio of 3, well, same thing, right? Here that would give me like 4.5 million. And if you do, for example, 1,000 trades, then maybe just imagine this could go up to tens of millions, which never actually happens. So being realistic about this, these are proven systems that have been tested with hundreds of trades, and in the end, allow you to do just that. In any life circumstance you have, in any situation, you can say, hey, I don't have to spend hours analyzing charts. I have a lot of things to do, whether I like it or not. I have university, I have a job, I have to take the kids to school, I want to go out for dinner, I want to go to the gym, I want to play PlayStation, and I don't want to be there, or I can't be there. Well, this already does everything for you. Your only job is to execute. You become like a casino on steroids, which is the goal that all of us traders have. So that's it. If you have any questions, you can write to me on Instagram via DM, and I'll be happy to help you out. And thank you very much for your time.